Hi there guys, welcome back and hello if you are new and welcome to 2025. It's been a minute I think since my last upload, but to be honest I didn't want to post anything until I was kind of like ready, and this is kind of I guess like a little bit of a roadmap as to like what I'm going to be doing a little bit more of, maybe a bit less of this year and stuff like that. So this video I'm going to be talking about some of my most anticipated records of the year. I'm just going to be going in from like chronological order, and also I'll have like albums that are fully confirmed and then albums which are sort of like speculation. I'm not sure if they will come out this year. It's just kind of like my thoughts essentially. And then I really kind of want to try and bring the Apocalyptic Anniversaries stuff back this year, especially because I haven't really done any of the records that are turning 10, 20, 15, all that sort of stuff. And if you aren't aware of Apocalyptic Anniversaries, basically that's what I used to do when I was at Metal Sucks for a little while. And it's basically like a video celebrating a landmark, anniversary for a band. And it could be anyone really, but my sort of cutoff is 10 years basically. And with that, I will talk about Dream Theater and their brand new album, Parasomnia. So this record comes out in not too long, actually. It's absolutely brilliant. I will kind of keep it quite short and sweet for now because they're going to be my first review, I think, of the year. Absolutely amazing band. This is the first release to feature Mike Portnoy in, I think, 15 years after Black Clouds and Silver Linings, so it's been quite some time. Hugely anticipated record, and very, very exciting stuff to come from Dream Theater. So my next album is Obscura and a Sonication. There's a little bit of controversy surrounding this one, as it's kind of come out that there's been parts that were meant to be left on solo albums that are now incorporated in this album. But regardless of the controversy, I love Obscura. I've always really enjoyed this band, all the different iterations of them, and I think this record is going to be another sort of step forward into maybe a little bit more of a mainstream kind of approach, still kind of tech deathy, but using a little bit more chorus based ideas that we saw on I think it's A Valediction. I'm pretty sure it's that. It's you, After that, we have Killswitch Engage with This Consequence. So this is the first album in, I think, 5 years that Killswitch have released. The first single sounds really heavy. It kind of reminded me a little bit of Dishonor, Descent, and some of the Alive or Just Breathing kind of vibes. I think it's called Forever Aligned. It sounds like it's going to be quite an interesting album. Lots of metalcore, standard kind of things to come from Killswitch Engage. But the thing for me is that they have been away for quite some time. So I think they've really kind of focused on honing their craft. The chorus of this track is really great. It's the only one I've heard so far, so I'm very excited to hear kind of what the future holds, and the rest of the record. Next up on February 28th is Havukruunu and Tavastland. So this is a black metal band, if you're not familiar with them. This is their first release on Svart Records, and they are kind of, I guess, quite melodic black metal, really. They first kind of came into my sort of orbit, I guess, with their album, which had the two knights fighting on it, which was really great. And this album continues on that sort of path. Again, I'm not going to really talk about this too much because I've got a review upcoming for it. But yeah, very solid black metal effort. And I think one that will probably definitely pique people's interests this year for sure. It's the world done fucking around. We burn in the crowd. Then we've got probably, I would say, one of my most anticipated records of this year, which is Architects' new album, The Sky, the Earth, and All Between. We've heard 4 tracks now from what to expect from this album, and I think it's going to be the best record that the band have put out in a very long time. Jordan Fish, has kind of given it the treatment. He's been producer extraordinaire on this album, and I think that they've got a real streamlined sense of songwriting. All of the songs are really impactful. We've heard Curse, Seeing Red, Black Hole, and Whiplash. All 4 is kind of like 4 for 4. They're really, really great songs, and I really hope that I thought that the last album, the Classic Symptoms of a Broken Spirit, was a bit of a misstep. I really, really liked For Those That Wish to Exist, but I think this one is really going to kind of bring things back into more of a compounded, 3.5 minute, really, really brilliantly written and catchy idea that Architects have been so great at, all these years. And I think the biggest thing as well is that it's really heavy. It's going back to Architects' roots, but also bringing that sort of new idea that they've been experimenting with for the last couple of albums. So really, really, really excited for Architects. Then we have Spiritbox and Tsunami Sea, which is their new album. They've released 2 tracks, which is Soft Spine and Perfect Soul. I have been on the fence with Spiritbox for quite a while. I thought Eternal Blue was good, but I didn't think it was as brilliant as everyone was kind of making it out to be. The Fear of Fear EP, kind of moved me a bit towards being a bit more of a supporter of the band, and now I'm fully on board. I think after hearing Perfect Soul, the songwriting's really, really interesting. I love the aesthetic of everything being black and white. It's really well branded. They're such a great, visually striking band, I think. And, Courtney LaPlante's performance on here is great from what I've heard so far. And I think, when the band are being sort of talked at, as potential download festival headliners one day, and they're playing Ali Pali, it's sold out, these are big sort of things that the band are doing, and off the back of one album, I think it's really interesting. So I'll be very excited to see where we go from there. And one of the albums which has been announced this week is also another reason why I wanted to kind of like hold off on this is just to see new records that are being announced. But Whitechapel have announced Hymns in Dissonance, which I think is maybe the heaviest record they've ever released. Goes to that world of This Is Exile, that level of heavy. And for me, the title track, Hymns in Dissonance, was like a hold my beer moment, for all these bands that have done like the guttural thing with the breakdown. Phil Bozeman's kind of like, yeah, guys, I started all this, and I'm still here, and I'm still one of the best. I also love the fact that after Kin, which was probably, I would say, the band's most emotional record, it was really raw. It was my, I think, number 2 album of the year. Absolutely love that record. They've now come back with the heaviest album. The single's absolutely fantastic. So really, really excited for that one. And then we have Stephen Wilson and The Overview. So this is coming out on March 14th. It's a kind of following that classic prog rock idea of a 2-track, 2-side affair. I've been fortunate enough to hear the album, and it's absolutely brilliant. For me, it kind of makes me think of The Raven from outer space. The concept of the record, I think, is really cool as well. It's about the overview effect, which Stephen has kind of talked about. And I think it's just going to be another brilliant addition to his catalogue, really. There's also an IMAX experience, which is going alongside it, where the album is kind of, it's got this full film, which kind of brings the concept even sort of bigger. And I just think, in terms of prog rock, like, you can't get bigger than space, right? No, better kind of world is not possible. It's kind of
Also on March 14th, we have Warbringer and Wrath and Ruin. So I love Warbringer. I think they're such a cool little band that, you know, kind of combine that melodic death metal with thrash. And this, you know, particular, I think it's, what's it called? A New World? No, A Better World. Really kind of channels that feeling of the sort of hopelessness that is kind of abound in the existential dread that I feel pretty much every day at the minute. But what I love the most is John Kevill's lyrics. You know, even reading these lyrics from this song, it reminds me of like Wilfred Owen and stuff like that. And we had a really awesome interview like years back talking about the Wilfred Owen poetry and how it sort of, you know, informed Warbringer and stuff. So I'll be really excited to, you know, hear the full thing and really kind of understand where they're going. It's been a while since we've heard from Warbringer as well. But, you know, I think if this new track is anything, you know, as a sort of notice of what we're going to be hearing, is we're in for a real treat. And Mark Lewis has produced it as well, which is always a big stamp of approval for me. So yeah, very excited. If you're a thrash fan, mark that calendar for sure. And then literally announced today was Imperial, Triumphant and Goldstar. Oh, I just love this band so much, man. Like, in terms of the aesthetic, they just have everything nailed. And they've just released the new single, which was filmed like in Chrysler Building, which is so cool. You know, they've got amazing masks. And I think they really do embody all of this Art Deco kind of really crazy 1920s, 1930s kind of vibe. There's, you know, hints of Eyes Wide Shut in there as well. But I think the biggest thing about Goldstar is that it's going to be, I would say, the most accessible record. You know, the tracks that we've heard so far, I think aren't as abrasive and full on and as kind of like dense and impenetrable as they have been on Spirit of Ecstasy, Vile Luxury, and Alphaville as well. So I think that's going to be a big thing. And there's Thomas Hark, which is appearing on this record. Dave Lombardo as well, which is mental, you know. So I think it's going to be a really interesting one. And again, the artwork just looks brilliant. You know, these guys can't really put a foot wrong. So I'm really excited for that one for sure. Then on March 28th, we have Arch Enemy with Blood Dynasty. So I can't believe it's the 30th anniversary of this band this year. So what a way to commemorate that than with their 12th studio album. Very excited to hear this one. I think Dream Stealers is a great track, and they've released a good couple of other ones. You know, the title track, Blood Dynasty, Liars and Thieves, I think is another one. But it's kind of showing that different kind of facet to the band. I'm not sure if Jeff Loomis was still in the band when this was recorded or if he had left by then, but, you know, it's got Michael Amott's trademark leads all over the place, and I think is really strong, and it's definitely going to be a big one, you know, for the like metal world. And then we've got the Scottish legends that are Bleed From Within. Who are releasing their brand new album, Zenith, I think it's called. I thought it was really cool with the latest single that they've incorporated the bagpipes, and they did it in a way that wasn't cheesy. It wasn't kind of like, you know, just kind of hammy. But I think really is a nice sort of tip to, you know, where they're from in Scotland, but also has a different kind of, a different vibe and a different sound. So I'm really quite excited to see what the rest of the album's going to sound like and where they go from there, really. And then finally is Bury Tomorrow in May with Will You Haunt Me With That Same Patience. I think it's... So this is the, you know, the first album to feature the new guitarist. I think Ed Hartwell, I think he's called. So that'll be interesting. This is also the first time I've heard Danny doing, or Dan, I can't remember which he prefers to be called, doing clean vocals, which is very interesting. So yeah, it'll be intriguing to see what the rest of the record is going to be like. The band have had like a really quick output as well, ever since I think Black Flame, Cannibal, The Seventh Son, I think it was. So yeah, I'm just intrigued to see where they kind of go from here. And I also wanted to mention my mate Brandon Hill, who is in Stress Test, is releasing their debut album on the 28th of February as well. Proper, you know, great thrash kind of crossover vibe, and really sort of epitomizes that hopelessness of the world and how shit it is at the minute. So now I thought I would kind of, you know, mention some of my predictions, you know, just based on kind of people working in the studio and things like that. The first one is Machine Head. I think Machine Head will be coming out the gates with an album. You know, they're headlining Bloodstock, which I would imagine, you know, maybe we might see something from that. Malevolence at the end of the year, I think, confirmed that there was going to be a new album. I don't know when, but they've released that track Trenches as well, which I think is going to be pushing things forward. Ghost announced a massive tour, and, you know, as with everything with Ghost, I think, you know, the art is so important, and there was, you know, this whole new concept which was unveiled with the tour poster, so I would imagine there's going to be an album at some point. Again, no idea when. I feel like Gojira maybe might be thinking of something, you know, off the back of everything with the Olympics. It's been a while since Fortitude. I feel like it was 2021 that we had Fortitude. It might have been 22, I can't remember. But so, you know, the timing would kind of align about right. Then we've got, I think, Revocation. I feel like are, you know, cooking something up. They've been in the studio. Whether or not it's going to really, you know, be released this year is another thing. Rivers of Nihil are gearing up for something. And they've got, you know, 2 big tours that they've just announced as well. Death Heaven was signed to Roadrunner last year, I think. So maybe we would get a record from them, I'm hoping, because that would be really, really cool. I love that band. I saw that Sangwa Sugabog are in the studio as well, so they're going to be releasing a new album. And I'm sure there's loads of other bands, but I can't quite think of any at the minute. But again, these are just kind of my thoughts, you know, what I think is maybe going to be happening. Mastodon as well. I saw that there was an article in like Metal Sucks or Metal Injection talking about the sort of spookiness of the record, and I would imagine that might be around sort of when they're touring and things. So I guess we'll have to just wait and see. But yeah, so those are some of my anticipated records of this year. And then finally, I wanted to talk about, you know, the Apocalyptic Anniversaries sort of side of things. So far I haven't really kind of gone through many of them, but I have earmarked Juggernaut by Periphery for January. And then in February, it's the Mars Volta and Francis the Mute and Death's Spiritual Healing. So these 3 are albums I've never spoken about on camera before. I think I did maybe write about them, you know, once or twice when I have my blog. So yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of like delve into them. But yeah, you've made it to the end of the video. So thank you ever so much for, you know, checking this out. Let me know what some of your most anticipated albums are in the comments underneath me as well. And if there's any anniversaries that you guys have spotted and you want me to cover, let me know and I will absolutely look into it. So thank you ever so much for checking this video out. Let's hope that 2025 is going to be a better year than 2024. And I'll see you guys very, very soon for more videos. Take care, my friends.